Hello again and thanks for joining. So today I've got this Hornby model to have a look at. It's number 2713 and it represents a steam locomotive of the T9 class. It's a British Railways locomotive and it's a 440 wheel configuration. It's another second-hand purchase, but this is actually looking really good. This box has a bit of a bash at this corner here. It looks as though it's just taken a little bit of a knock or something in the past. And it's typical of Hornby models that are made in China. It comes with an external sleeve here and the box just slides out from inside. You can see that it does have some shelf wear here, for example, where it's had a bit of a bash. But we're going to have a look at the model inside and see what it's like today. One thing to note before I get this open is that this is actually very light. It's not what I would expect from Hornby models. Anyway, let's get this open and we'll have a look at the model inside. So you can see this model comes with a lot of extras on it. You've got this little pack of stuff here, and I noticed as well we've got some extra parts up here as well. It looks like some possibly brake gear or sanding pipe work or something, and some extra couplings as well and some other bits and pieces. I think these are dummy couplings up here as well. So these instructions talk about general maintenance of this model, and it also says that this model is DCC ready or DCC fitted. So I actually know that this one is DCC ready, so it'll work on DC. We'll give it a go with the duet controller in a little bit. Inside here you've got some instructions about how to keep this model in good working order, and it's specific to this particular steam locomotive, which is really good as well. And it gives you information also about how to fit the extra parts that we've got, and we saw those in the packaging as well. So here we are with the model out of the packaging, and straight away it really impresses with the detail on this model. It's one, like I said, it's been made in China, and it's certainly, I think, an upgrade over the ones that used to be made in the UK from Hornby. Let's start off having a closer look at the locomotive. So looking here at the front of the locomotive, the smoke box door is very detailed and it's got some really fine bracket details added on there as well. It's got this little lamp bracket at the top and these handrails going all the way around, and they're so fine and nicely added on extra parts. They could easily break, but they're so fine it makes this look really quite a refined model. Down here there's a little bit of dust on this one. It is a second-hand model after all, and again we've got some more lamp brackets here which are very fine, could easily break off. You need to be very careful when handling this model. The buffer beam here is painted red and it's very crisply done. There's no fuzziness at the edges at all, and you have sprung buffers on this model as well. Those buffers are made of metal too. Here you can see the NEM pocket for the coupling, but I did see that we had dummy couplings that you could add in here as well, along with the vacuum pipe. And you have these little parts here sticking out the front. Again, they could be easily broken off, but really nice that they've been moulded in there. So looking down the side of the boiler here, this handrail goes all the way along the length of the boiler and it's very fine as well. And we have an additional added on part here, this copper piece here which runs the whole length of the boiler and down the back of the wheel there. There's some really nice rivet detail as well, and the ribs have been painted in this red colour. Very nicely done as well. It's been really quite well painted. You've got some additional metal parts here on top of this dome here. And as we reach the cab, we've got some more additional parts added in here. I think this one's actually just bent a little bit. Maybe it's had a little bit of a bash just at the whistle there. But there's such fine details that you'd expect this on a model like this. When we come to the cab, again, another very fine handrail here. I think this is actually made in metal and added in. And one of the things you'll notice that the inside of the cab has some detail underneath the roof there, and it's been painted in this nice colour as well. Windows at the cab here are flush fit, and they have this really nice gold surround, and the lining here is, I think, a transfer that's been added on, but it is very nicely done as well, and the number is very clear with the 3P above it there as well. Looking inside the cab, the back of the boiler there's a wealth of detail to enjoy, lots of extra parts added on, and they're really very well done. There's lots to enjoy there. There's no footplate crew with this model. It might have been lost in the past, I'm not quite sure, and it would certainly benefit from a driver and fireman. However, the detail that's on offer here is really very good. You can see as well it's a little bit dusty too. And this side of the locomotive, it's the same as the other side. Again, lots of nice rivet detail, and again this copper pipe running along here as well. Just looking down at the wheels, we've got really nice black with chrome wheels here, the two main driving wheels, and we have this copper piping down here, which is an additional part that's been added on. The brake gear is very close to the wheels as well, these additional parts that have been added in, and you can see that the extra parts that we saw in the packaging fit into these as well to add some extra realism to the brake gear. The pony truck at the front has a little bit of movement to it, not too much, but just enough to get round corners. It does have a minimum radius on this model, and there's a lot of detail on this as well, even rivet details and spring detail, and you can see some more rivet detail there underneath the boiler. The wheels are very good. They're made of metal with black inserts and chrome on the part that touches the rails. We'll give this a run in a little bit in this video. One of the things that you often see on Hornby models in the past was a really bad moulding line running the length of the boiler. This one doesn't have that at all. Very nice. And on the top of the roof, just some small details here of some extra rivets and a bit of dust there as well, and some more rivet detail along the guttering as well, but it's really nicely presented. Here at the back you can see the connector for the tender and also this little plug here. I guess the DCC chip would be in the tender. So overall, a really nice looking model. Let's have a look at the tender. So this is an incredibly light model. It really could benefit from some weight in this, especially if you're running it tender first. I think this would probably jump off at some points. One of the characteristics of this class of locomotive is all these exposed wheels here, and with the spokes it would really look quite interesting going along. We'll see that in a moment when I put this on the test track, but this tender does benefit from having additional parts here with the brake gear which are in line with the wheels. Again, you've got the opportunity to add in extra parts underneath here to add to the realism. And you can see other parts here like the pipe work, and at the back there's some really fine pipe work as well in this tank. And again, sprung buffers here at the rear. We've got a nice buffer beam again, this time with a dummy hook there. And you can see this one's being fitted with a smaller coupling than normal Hornby stuff, and it is in an M pocket as well. The vacuum pipe here is an additional part that's been added in, and these little brackets look as though they're extra parts as well, very fine, including this one at the top. That's obviously going to break off if you're not very careful. And this transfer is very nice as well, and there's a lot of nice detail on the logo here for the British Railways. Here at the fireman's end, there's more rivet detail down here, and a very convincing nice brake wheel that's been added in here. And there's a little handrail here as well at the side, very fine. And looking up top, the coal is pretty good. And we've got two little boxes here with brackets and catches on them, and more rivet detail down here as well at the back of the tender. One of the things I did notice is that this coal actually comes out very easily. I'll try and get it out just now. There we go. So you can model this with or without a coal load, and you can see that it has more rivet detail underneath there as well. So you could put in your own type of coal if you prefer, or just run it like this. Bit of dust here as well. So overall, this tender is looking pretty good. It's a very nice moulding. The only criticism is it's a little bit light. But let's get this on the test track and we'll give it a little bit of a run. Okay, we've got it on the test track here, and I'll just give it some power and see what happens. Well, that was a bit of a mixed bag. It didn't want to get going there. It might just been because it's been in storage for a while, I guess. And it actually took an awful lot of power to get this thing moving at all. On the plus side, it was actually quite quiet when it started running, and it seems quite smooth most of the time. However, it does seem to stutter a little bit, so maybe it just needs a bit of oil or something like that. But I'm actually quite disappointed with it because I thought it would perform a lot better than it does. Anyway, let's see how much this weighs. So this model weighs 211 grams. So this T9 steam locomotive from Hornby I think is a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. There's no doubting the fantastic detail on this model, and the moulding is so fine and delicate, and it's got so many interesting parts to it that have been added on, especially things like the back of the boiler, which is really very detailed. I like the fact that you can take the coal out the back of the tender and change that around quite easily. It's even got a representation of the inner workings underneath the boiler. And there's a wealth of fine detail like the handrails and the pipework, which really make this model stand out. It's a very good display model. But performance-wise, I think it was a bit of a letdown. I'm not quite sure what was going on here. It could just need a bit of a service and it would run really well. Or maybe it's just more suited to running on DCC rather than analog, and it would run really well on that. So I have seen better performing models than this one, but this really wins as a display model with a lot of detail on it. It's got a lot of really nice detail added onto it. It makes it look like quite a special model. And maybe with a bit of care and attention, this model will run fine. I've not run this on DCC, and that might be where this model really shines. So should you consider adding this to your collection? I think if you're modelling British Railways of this era, then it would be a very interesting model to add. It's got a lot of character, especially in the tender with all its wheels, but I think it does have some limitations as well, and there's a lot of steam locomotives available for this era. Therefore, I don't think this would be the first one I would go for, but certainly as an additional locomotive, if you've got many of the other main ones, I think it would be a really good addition. But I feel as though it's a bit of a mixed bag, this one. Let me know what you thought about my analysis in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think about this. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya!